Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Go Pramanande. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Wow. Hare Krishna. So, we're reading from where? What is it? 31:16. Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 31st chapter, text 16. Oh, these are Pancharatna's glasses. I hope they work. They're probably reading glasses, but they're really big. Ooh, no, these are prescription.
Would two be good?
Yeah, if it's a reading glass, yeah. Either that or a light. You know, when it's English, you don't have to be able to see it, because you know what the word is. But when it's Sanskrit, if you can't see it, you can't. Yeah, that works. Just now coming. Unless you have perfect memories, I think we need to wait till you're putting it up? No. Who's putting it up?
We're there.
Super. Jnanam ya etad adadat katamas devas. Eta adadat katamas devas. Jai kalikam stira chareshanuvartam shaha. I'll slow down a bit. Tam jiva karma padavim anuvartamanas. Jiva karma padavim anuvartamanas. Tapatrayo pashamanaya bhayam bhajema. Tapatrayo pashamanaya. Okay, so the last one is tricky because it has to be tapa, trayo, pashana, maya, mana, yavayam bhajan. Jnanam ya etad adhadat katamas devas. Deva traikalikam stira chareshanuvartitam shah. Tam jiva karma padavim anuvartamanas. Padavim anuvartamanas. Tapatrayo pushanamanaya bhayam. Tapatrayo pushamana yabhayam bhajema. Tapatraya pushamana. Jnanam yetaradat katamasa devas. Traikalikam sthiracharishvanuvartamamsha. Anuvartamam titamsha. Tam jiva karma padavim anuvartamanas. Tapotrayo pushamanaya bhayam bhajema. Trayo pushamanaya. Good luck.
Jnanam yarita radadat katamasa devas.
Nam yaetaradat katama sadevas. Kalikam tiracharesh anuvartitamsha.
Tam jiva karma padavim anuvartamanas.
Jiva him anuvartamanas.
Tapatrayo pushamanaya bhayam bhajema.
Tapotrayo pushamanaya. Jnanam yaetaradat katamasa devas. Traikalikam tiracharesh anuvartitamsha. Jiva karma padavim anuvartamanas. Tapotayo pashanamaya. Jnanam yaetaradat katamasa devas. Traikalikam sthirachareshvanuvartitamsha. Anuvartamanas. Tapotrayo pushamanaya bhajema.
Jnanam yareta dadadat katamasa devas.
Jnanam yaetaradat katamasa devas.
Traikalikam sthirachareshvanuvartitamsha.
Traikalikam sthirachareshvanuvartitamsha.
Tam jiva karma padavim anuvartamanas.
Tam jiva karma padavim anuvartamanas.
Tapatrayo pushamanaya bhayam bhajema.
Tapotrayo pushanamaya bhajema. Ladies? Jnanam yaetaradat katamasa devas. Traikalikam sthirachareshvanuvartitamsha. Tam jiva karma padavim anuvartamanas. Trayo pashamanaya bhajema. Aya etara dadat kataman sedevas. Ekalikam stita shareshana vartitam sha. Tapotayo pashamanaya paramajima. Word meanings. Jnanam, knowledge. Yat, which. Etat, this. Adadhat, gave. Katamaha, who other than. Saha, that. Devaha, the personality of Godhead. Trikalikam, of the three phases of time. Stira chareshu, in the inanimate and the animate objects. Anuvartita, dwelling. Angshaha, his partial representation. Tam, unto him. Jiva, of the jiva souls. Karma padavim, the path of fruitive activities. Anuvartamanaha, who are pursuing. Tapatraya, from the threefold miseries. Upashamanaya, for getting free. Bhayam, we. Bhajema, must surrender. Translation. No one other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as the localized Paramātmā, the partial representation of the Lord, is directing all inanimate and animate objects. He is present in the three phases of time, past, present, and future. Therefore, the conditioned soul is engaged in different activities by his direction, and in order to get free from the threefold miseries of this conditional life, we have to surrender unto him only. Would you like to repeat? Or you have it memorized already? Okay. No one other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as the localized Paramātmā, the partial representation of the Lord, is directing all inanimate and animate objects. He is present in the three phases of time, past, present, and future. Therefore, the conditioned soul is engaged in different activities by his directions. And in order to get free from the threefold miseries of this conditional life, we have to surrender unto him only. Purport. When a conditioned soul is seriously anxious to get out of the influence of the material clutches, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is situated within him as Paramātmā, gives him this knowledge. Quote, surrender unto me. As the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, give up all other engagements, just surrender unto me. It is to be accepted that the source of knowledge is the Supreme Person. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Mata Smritir Jnanam Apohanam Cha. The Lord says, through me one gets real knowledge and memory, and one also forgets through me. To one who wants to be materially satisfied, or who wants to lord it over material nature, the Lord gives the opportunity to forget his service and engage in the so-called happiness of material activities. Similarly, when one is frustrated in lording it over material nature and is very serious about getting out of this material entanglement, the Lord, from within, gives him the knowledge that he has to surrender unto him. Then there is liberation. It's like Prabhupada is saying, what Krishna is saying in the Bhagavad Gita, the Paramātmā will say the same thing to you. Is that good? Let's give Krishna a big round of applause. The knowledge cannot be imparted by anyone other than the Supreme Lord or his representative. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lord Chaitanya instructs Rupa Goswami that the living entities wander in life after life, undergoing the miserable conditions of material existence. But when one is very anxious to get free from this material entanglement, he gets enlightenment through a spiritual master and Krishna. This means that Krishna, as the Supersoul, is situated within the heart of the living entity, and when the living entity is serious, the Lord directs him to take shelter of his representative, a bona fide spiritual master. Directed from within and guided externally by the spiritual master, one attains the path of Krishna consciousness, which is the way out of the material clutches. Therefore, there is no possibility of one's being situated in his own position unless he is blessed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Unless he is enlightened with the supreme knowledge, one has to undergo the severe penalties of the hard struggle for existence in the material nature. The spiritual master is therefore the mercy manifestation of the Supreme Person. The conditioned soul has to take direct instruction from the spiritual master, and thus he gradually becomes enlightened to the path of Krishna consciousness. And the seed of Krishna consciousness is sown within the heart of the conditioned soul. And when one hears instruction from the spiritual master, the seed fructifies and one's life is blessed. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, one interesting fact you may or may not be aware of or may take for granted, but in this purport, Prabhupada uses the word conditioned soul at least twice. So what interesting fact, this word conditioned soul is also used by psychologists, and I don't know if that's where Prabhupada got it or this is just a standard Vedic term. But we hear this all the time, right? And if you go to the word by word, there's no word condition, it's just jiva, isn't it? Let me see. Yeah, of the jiva soul. But in the context of the jiva soul in the material world, then Prabhupada often uses the word conditioned. And conditioned means habituated, molded, programmed, samskara, to act in a particular way due to habit. And it also means, if you're talking of Vedic psychology, conditioning means specifically conditioned by the modes of nature. Because Vedic psychology is all about how we're affected by the modes of nature. So we say we are conditioned to act according to one of those modes of nature. And as Krishna says, helplessly, forced. And it doesn't mean we don't have a choice, but when we make a choice, we'll be conditioned by particular modes of nature. So, now Krishna says, as you know, samaham sarvabhuteshu. Sama means equal. Aham, samaham means I'm equal. Sarva means all, and bhuteshu means to those living entities. Bhuta means to exist. So I am equal to all that exists, not just humans, but to all. And when Krishna says samaham sarvabhuteshu, he's referring to himself as Paramātmā. When he's saying I'm equal to all, he's talking as the Paramātmā. As the Paramātmā, I'm equal to all. So, and then he says, but I'm not equal to all, because if you render service to me, then I become dear. You become a friend, I become your friend. And Prabhupada said, and some people say, well, God's partial. And we say, that's true. He's equal and he's partial. And Prabhupada said, isn't it natural that you're partial to those you love and those who love you? And yes, it is. And where does that propensity to become partial come from? Well, if we're partial to those we love, it comes from Krishna. That's where we get it. So, this verse is very interesting because, in one sense, Krishna is saying, whatever you want to do, just do it, and I'm not going to get in the way. I'm not going to make you do anything. I'm not going to force you one way or the other. That's what it means that I'm equal. I'm not going to arbitrarily pick somebody. You go back to Godhead, you stay here, you go to hell. Or I'm not going to arbitrarily force you. Because you, over there, you're moving in the temple. As super soul, you're going to move in the temple. And you over there, you work like an ass, try to become wealthy, famous, etc. He doesn't do that. Right? That's what Krishna means when he says, I'm equal. I'm not forcing you one way or the other. But, then he's saying, but if you want to be a devotee, then what does Prabhupada say here? Krishna will guide you two ways. From within, surrender to me, and number two, here's your guru. There's a guru, go see him, and take shelter of him. Krishna will tell you that. This is what you need to do. Why would he tell you that? Because he's saying I'm equal. So why would he tell you that? Because that's what you want. So, my dear devotees, do you ever run into this problem that sometimes Maya, material energy, the modes of nature, is attractive to you? That ever happened? Never, right? You're all pure devotees. That never happened to you. But before you were devotees, did it ever happen? Yes, of course. And did you ever think, Krishna, why? I'm trying to be a devotee. Are you making Maya so attractive? What do you think Krishna would tell you if you had a conversation with him? What would he say?
I'm more attractive or something?
No, but you're asking Krishna, why is this Maya so attractive? Why am I so attractive? Why is it so attractive? Yeah, it's Krishna's energy, but I'm thinking of something along the line of how we're moving in this world towards and away from things. Yeah. Yes, we're getting there, yes.
Giving you an opportunity to get a sense of where you're really at when it makes some serious choices.
Yeah. I mean, what I was thinking Krishna would say something, why is it attractive? He says, because that's what you want to enjoy it. So I make it attractive to you, because that's what you want. And when you want to renounce it, I will make it unattractive. The very same thing that you're attracted to, if you decide I want to renounce, that thing will no longer be attractive, because I'm helping you whatever way you want to go. So if you want to enjoy something, then Krishna is saying, I'll help you, right? I mean, you know, and how can I help you? Well, you can't enjoy something if it's not attractive. You don't enjoy eating if you're not hungry. Or you don't enjoy eating if you're hungry, but it's not what you like. So I'll make it attractive. You want to enjoy it, I'll make it appear attractive. And when you want to be Krishna conscious, then that same thing is, I'll make it unattractive because you want to detach from it. Yes? So, and I am equal. It's just you just tell me what you want, and I'll direct you. So, another thing Krishna would say is, I didn't tell you to go there. I'm not in your heart telling you, go here. You're telling me, I want to go here, and I'm directing you there. So don't blame me. You started it. It's not my fault. You started it. If you put an address in the GPS, it's going to take you to that address. And if you realize when you get there you put in the wrong address, it's not the GPS's fault. So if we analyze what Krishna is saying in my form as Super Soul, basically he's saying, I'm like a GPS. Whatever address you put it in, I will guide you there. So if you want to become Krishna conscious, I'll guide you there. If you don't, I'll guide you away from it. And it's a good deal, and it's a bad deal, depending what you want, right? So some people would become upset with Krishna. Krishna, why did you allow me to forget you? Or why did you allow me to engage in some activity that's harmful for me? And what would Krishna say? He said, that's the address you put in. I'm just taking you to the address. Don't blame the GPS. So the Super Soul is like a divine global positioning. And now we're globally positioned in a material body in the material world. How did we get here? Was it arbitrary? No, that's what we wanted. And then Krishna is saying, you are your own enemy because you're desiring. It's not my fault. You're desiring and I'm fulfilling your desire. But you're the one who's desiring. So if you want to be your friend, put in the address 108 Goloka Vrindavan. And I will direct you there, and you'll get the intelligence out of it as we get there. And then Prabhupada said, if you do that, then becoming Krishna conscious is very easy, because the whole time Krishna is giving guidance. And if you don't do that, it's really hard, as we all experience, right? So, I think this is one of the most beautiful aspects of our philosophy, because we never have to worry if we can or cannot be Krishna conscious. That should never be our worry. Because we know from this verse and other verses that if we desire to be Krishna conscious, as Prabhupada said, Krishna will help you and it'll be really easy because he's guiding you. He's the best driver. So you put the right address in, he picks you up and he drives you to 108 Goloka Vrindavan. And all you have to do is basically sit in the back seat and, it all happens. So we never have to worry, we never have to be concerned, can I become Krishna conscious? That's not the concern. The concern is, will I desire to be Krishna conscious? That's the concern. Not can I be? Can I be successful? Yes, guaranteed. It's guaranteed. Why? In this verse, it's guaranteed. Can I be successful? 100%. Is it easy? Yes. But there's a clause, if that's what you desire. Then it is easy, and you'll be successful. So, if you ever had a doubt, can I become Krishna conscious in this life? There's no doubt, because Krishna is saying, if you desire it, It's going to happen. I will make sure it happens. You don't have to worry. I will guide you as Chaitya Guru within the heart. You know, it's really interesting if you think about it. When we talk about Guru, normally if I say the word Guru, the first thing that comes to most devotees' minds is Diksha Guru, right? And then sometimes, maybe Siksha Guru. But less often, I believe, or rarely, is it Chaitya Guru. So we have a lot of emphasis on Diksha Guru, isn't it? And there should be equal emphasis on Siksha Guru, but for some reason, maybe we don't emphasize that enough. We make a distinction that's not really there. But Chaitya Guru is like, when was the last time you heard a class about the Chaitya Guru? And when was the last time you heard a class about the Diksha Guru? We don't normally hear, isn't it? Or am I wrong? Or
You are correct.
yeah. So Chaitya Guru is an equal manifestation. And one time Prabhupada said that the duty of the Guru is to purify you enough so that you can hear Chaitya Guru and be guided by Chaitya Guru. And he said, and then the Guru's duty is like, it's achieved. You are now in touch with Chaitya Guru. You're hearing him. Of course, you might say, how do I know? Guru in the heart, yeah. Paramātmā, yeah, guiding you. What's being described in this verse? The Super Soul guiding. That's Prabhupada's talking about Chaitya Guru. So, we all have a very good Guru in our heart. We have best Guru, yes. This Guru, he knows exactly how to get us out of the material world and go back to Godhead. And all we have to do is listen to that Guru. But that Guru won't speak to us unless we ask him, unless we desire. And if we desire, getting some feedback. And if we desire, that's all we have to do. And then Super Soul directs. And everything happens quite easily. Sound good? Yes.
Bruce, thanks for explaining that. I think you posed the question as though it's sort of a linear choice, sort of, desire Krishna or desire Maya. And not that I
Okay.
but I would say that's how you present it. And a person may find themselves, a devotee may find themselves thinking, it doesn't seem, I use the word seem, it doesn't seem so simple as that. Because due to the circumstances that one is in, it seems there's a whole maze of issues to deal with, and such that those circumstances seem to impact what desires one has a tendency to be inclined to have. And so is it really so simple as, in the moment I choose Krishna or Maya, or do these circumstances that I might be in make it more complicated?
Yes and no. The first thing I would say is, why are we putting ourselves in circumstances that make it difficult for us? Like, who chose to do that? Of course, I understand what you're saying. Sometimes you just, land in a situation, but there is a difference between having a desire and desiring. Because sometimes circumstances trigger conditioned desires, but it doesn't mean you're going to do anything about it. So I would make that distinction. So like what you're saying is true. Desires will come circumstantially. We should try to avoid those circumstances, but when we can't, they come. But we always have that choice, how we're going to act upon those desires, right? And like, it's said, it's not what happens to you, but it's how you process what happens to you. So it's like there's always this little area where now you can decide. So I think that's the most important thing. It's like I have so many desires, and if I were talking to Krishna, he would say, yeah, so what's your problem? I say, Krishna, these are strong desires. Yeah, so what's your problem? Don't you want me? Well, yeah. Then do you want me more than you want those? Well, yeah. Then what's your problem? Because if that's true, you will always act. If you fail, what will you do? You'll get up and you'll continue acting for Krishna, and you'll realize that I was overcome momentarily, but that's not where my heart is. Right? And so we have so many inclinations, and these inclinations get aroused circumstantially, but if that's not really what we're putting into the GPS, we might get sidetracked. Oh, can you take me over there? I want to see that. But once we see it, I'm like, why did I want to go there? That's a waste of time. We get back on track. That's the sincere devotee. That's why Tesham satata yuktanam bhajitam priti purvakam. If that's our main goal, motive, desire, we'll always get back on track. Sometimes it's a lifetime off track. Sometimes it's 1 second off track. Sometimes it's a few years. Because Krishna's saying, if you want me, okay, maybe there'll be some deviations because we're conditioned souls. But if you really want me, ultimately, you're going to get me because I know what you want, and I'm going to reciprocate with that, and I'm going to help you. And I know what you don't want, and I know if you want Maya badly enough, then you'll force me to give that to you. If you want Maya, but it's not badly enough, Krishna's going to say, no, I don't think so. But if you're obstinate and persistent, he'll say, okay, if that's what you want to forget me, okay, I'll help you. That's your desire. But if deep down in our heart, there's a desire to be Krishna conscious, even though we're weak, even though we're deviated, obviously Krishna knows that. And he's always going to bring us back because that's where our heart is and that's what he knows we want. So in that sense, yeah, it is pretty black and white. Doesn't seem like it always, but... And 11th canto, you read verses in 11th canto where Krishna explains, obviously, that he knows exactly what it means to be a conditioned soul. And he knows how hard it is for a conditioned soul because we're habituated. Spontaneously, automatically, we think of things which are bad for us. You ever become envious? It wasn't a thought process, just, I don't like him. Right? Well, how did that happen? Because that's been cultivated for millions of lifetimes. So it's just, but when it happens, we can say, Krishna, help me, I don't like that. What can I do to, what do I do now that I'm envious? And then Krishna says, go up to that devotee, say something nice to him. Stop trying to pull him down. And so Krishna helps us. So that spontaneous conditioning, it's going to be there to one degree or another for quite a while. But the sincere devotee, Krishna will always guide him. You're on Sankirtan, and the most beautiful woman, an Apsara, has descended, right? And you see her a block away, and you're thinking, oh, I want to give her a book. And the Super Soul says, no, I don't think so. Just walk the other way. This is not going to be good for you. And you walk, and eventually you turn around. It's like that. It's like, oh, Krishna, why am I attracted to this woman? He said, because you think you're the body, and you're a young devotee, and she's beautiful. It just makes sense. But because you're sincere, I give you the intelligence to turn around and walk the other way, because I'm helping you realize it's not good for you. Right? So that's where the sincerity kicks in. It's like Krishna always, you ever get saved at the last moment? You're about to drown and Krishna saves you? Yeah. Have you ever experienced a situation where you're about to do something wrong or contemplating it and Krishna just makes it a mess so you can't do it. Or if you did it, it would be like the worst thing. And you know that was Krishna. You say, thank you, Krishna. That's what Prabhupada's talking about here, that if you're sincere, you don't have to worry. Because even despite the weakness, Krishna he'll correct us. And I think one of the most vivid aspects of this, as Prabhupada is saying, if you're sincere, you'll be guided to the Guru. If we each look at our lives and how we became Krishna conscious, it is clear Krishna was personally involved. It wasn't some impersonal thing. Krishna pulled us here, we went there, had this experience, that one. And you look at your life and you say, how did I become a devotee? Because I had this experience. Take one of those experiences away, maybe you wouldn't have been a devotee. If you were in a different place at a different time, maybe you wouldn't have seen the Harinam party, or taken prasadam, or been able to get a book. And so you put it all, take anything out, and I don't know if I'd be a devotee. Isn't it? It's interesting, isn't it? Who made all those arrangements? Like in my life, I was living in Berkeley, going to school, and I walked into a bookstore one day, and I don't even read books. I was never reading books. I was all athletic. I didn't like to sit. So why would someone who doesn't like to read go into a bookstore? And why would someone who doesn't like to read pick out Bhagavad Gita off the shelf of thousands of books and he doesn't even know what the book is? And why would the next day he go to college and read Ananda Maharaj is sitting there, Bhakta Howard, selling Bhagavad Gita? It's not just selling, but offering it as a course in university, accredited course. And so, and when I looked at that situation, there's a backstory. Because for me to want to read the Gita and then take that course, there had to be events in my life that brought me to a point where I would say, this is what I want to do. And I can guarantee you, if I didn't have all those events lined up, I would have seen him and walked right by the table. And I wouldn't have pulled that book off the shelf because Krishna knew I wasn't ready. And if I pulled that book off the shelf 1 year earlier, nothing. Isn't it? Don't we all have a story like that? If that's not proof of the Super Soul guiding us, Chaitya Guru guiding us, I don't know what is. It's personal. The Super Soul is personal. He knew what I wanted. He knew what you wanted. Yes? Isn't that beautiful? And so my visual of this, I want to share with you, is I'm walking on the path of Maya, right? And I'm a puppet of the modes of nature. And Krishna knows what I want. I don't know it's bhakti that I want, but he knows it. And he knows I want him. And he knows I'm ready. And he knows everything I've done in the past to bring me to this point. My visual is I have a little string in the top of my head, and Krishna, I'm walking on this path towards Maya, and Krishna, he picks me up, and it's like a moving road, and I'm on this moving road of the modes of nature. He picks me up, and he puts me on this little moving road of bhakti. Picks me, isn't it? And you feel like that? Krishna just kind of pulled, and a lot of times you're on this moving road of bhakti, right? And you don't even know how you got there. It's like, how did you end up here? I don't know. How did you become a devotee? I don't know. Why did you move in the temple? I mean, you can explain it, but when you actually think about it, logically, you can't. How did I get out of all of that? I was going to school. I had good grades. I was being supported by my parents, and so at the end of that semester, I was living in a temple, sleeping on a floor, not even a pad on the floor in a sleeping bag, in a cold room, taking a cold shower. Like, how did that happen? I don't know. Isn't it like that? Krishna just went, whoop, put you on this other road, and now you're on this other road, and it's like it's all happening. And we were out on the street 8 hours a day, from university classes to 8 hours a day on the street. Like, how did that happen? And we're happy. So the reason I like this visual is because if I think Krishna was personally involved in my life, like he personally made all these arrangements, and he personally came and picked me off that road and put me on the other road, how could I now be lazy in my bhakti? How could I, whatever, I don't know, really. Prabhu, you need to be more serious. Yeah, it's kind of hard, No, 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 no. Krishna personally put you on this path. How can you take it for granted? That's why I like that visual, because it's actually what happened. And I have had the good fortune to be present in over 100, I don't know exactly, I estimate, like 130 classes that Prabhupada gave. And the mood of many, 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 many of those classes is, this life, you have a chance. I'll put it in modern English. This life, you have an opportunity to be Krishna conscious. You can be Krishna conscious. Don't blow it. Prabhupada didn't say don't blow it, but that's our colloquial expression. You can do it in this life. And so many of the classes that Prabhupada was giving, it was like he was saying, Krishna has pulled you out of the material world. He's put you on that road. Don't go back to the other road. Don't be lax. Don't blow it in this lifetime. And Prabhupada said, I was sitting in this class, I can remember it to this day, sitting in the temple room, and Prabhupada said, this lifetime, do it in this lifetime. If someone doesn't take the Krishna consciousness, they're unfortunate. But if you, who are devotees, give up Krishna consciousness, you are more unfortunate than those people, because they never even had a chance. I'm like, whoa. And then Prabhupada said, do not think that it's okay to come back and take another body. He said, because there's no guarantee that even though you take birth in a wealthy family or a devotee family, there's no guarantee you will not be deviated. Because we all think, well, I don't make it this life, it's always the next life, The red carpet's going to be pulled out for me in the next life, and I'll just get on that carpet, and that carpet just goes back to Godhead, and I'll just sit back and relax. Well, we don't have any proof of that. Number one, Prabhupada said no, and we don't have any proof that being born in a devotee family is just easy. It's not. We have many kids who were born in devotee families, raised in the Dham. Not many, but some. We're just not interested. So we could be one of those, right? Have great parents. So Prabhupada was cautioning, no, finish your business in this life. And then I think we all know the lecture in which Prabhupada was talking about Bilva Mangala Thakur and Chintamani, his girlfriend / prostitute. When she saw his devotion to her and his desire to enjoy her, and knowing that he was a devotee earlier in his life, said, you're wasting your time, devoting, to this body. You're so devoted to my body. If you had that bhakti to Krishna, just would be amazing. And lights went off in his head. And so she became his guru, because she was the one that inspired him to go to Vrindavan. And when Prabhupada told that lecture, he said, don't make me come to the prostitute house. Come back and save you from the prostitute house. Finish your business, go back to Godhead this lifetime. So that was an urgent message, an urgent and continual message we heard from Prabhupada. When I'm sitting, if you go to like 90 of those classes were back to back. I was living in Los Angeles, Prabhupada was there for 3 months, so it's every day. It's not like one class a week later, 10 days, a month later. It was every day I got to hear, and it was like really started to see patterns in how Prabhupada was speaking and what he was trying to do, how he was trying to convince us. And the impression I got from sitting in those classes is that Prabhupada was trying to reason with us. And I could sense that Prabhupada felt we didn't understand because we can't remember our past lives. So we're not feeling that we've been in the material world forever suffering, but you could see when Prabhupada was speaking, he was feeling that for us. Like you don't like parents when their kids are going off, they're trying to explain that your life, I did this when I was a teenager and I suffered, but the kid can't understand. And so it was like that. Prabhupada was explaining it, and I could just feel like he was trying to download into our hearts the realization that he had, that you don't realize how much you're suffering. You don't realize how long you've been here. And specifically, was very clear, Prabhupada was communicating to us, you don't realize what Lord Chaitanya's mercy is. You're like taking it for granted. You're so, he didn't say this, but the feeling I got was, you are so dull-brained that Mahaprabhu is giving you this mercy that you can get love of Krishna in the mood of the residents of Braj, and you're saying, it's so hard to chant my rounds. I have to get up so early. I really got that feeling that Prabhupada was saying, like, what is wrong with you? Like, don't you realize what you have? Really, really felt that very strongly. And I think the same thing is being said here. And if you understand that mood of Prabhupada, then when you read his purports, you'll see, oh yeah, I can feel this. There's this sense, this life, do it. Krishna will help you, you can do it, it's not a problem. You just have to desire it. So just desire it. The choice is yours. It's not, I can't give you that desire, and Prabhupada told us that. I can only give you the instruction. I can't make you follow it. Prabhu, give me mercy. Gurudev, give me mercy. I give you mercy and instruction, but I can't make you follow it. You have to do that. So, it's not like the Gurudev, give me mercy. I don't want to go to Mangalarti. Give me mercy. Turn my bed over at 4 o'clock, so I have to go. It's not like that. The Guru gives you instruction. This is why it's important. This is what I want from you. This is why you should do it. That's the mercy, and you have to take it. And if you don't take it, then as Prabhupada said, what can I do? Even Srila Prabhupada, the pure devotee, he had disciples that left in his presence. He had disciples that told him, Prabhupada, you can't go back to Godhead unless you chant 64 rounds a day. Can you believe it? He had disciples that told him that. He had another disciple that told Prabhupada to surrender to another guru. This devotee left Prabhupada and he surrendered to another totally bogus guru who was been exposed as bogus. And he told Prabhupada, you should surrender to that guru. That's what Prabhupada was dealing with. Like, is there anything that works in there? Because I'm trying to communicate with that part. Like you have an opportunity. This is very rare. Mahaprabhu doesn't come in this form every Kali Yuga. You can do it. It's easy. I guarantee you, if you chant 16 rounds, follow the 4 principles, I'll take you back to Godhead. Hello, do you understand what I just said? Do you realize this opportunity? You've been in the material world forever, and the end of this life, you can be with Krishna, dancing with him, seeing him. Do you understand that? Yeah, but Prabhupada, it's so hard to get up early. Can we just chant 4 rounds? That's what Prabhupada was trying to combat in his urgency of trying to appeal to that desire. If you just have that desire, Krishna will help you. It'll be easy. That's what I saw. That's what I felt very clearly. Hare Krishna. Yes?
There's a question from online. How do we know that our inner is Paramātmā trying to guide us from anxiety and past experiences trying to protect us?
How do we know if it's Paramātmā or
our anxiety and past experiences?
trying to protect us from what? Because anything that's protecting you, if it's trying to protect you from surrendering to Krishna, that's obviously it's not Krishna. But If it's trying to protect you in a way that helps you be Krishna conscious, then why would you distinguish that from the Supersoul? But, anything that's bringing you closer to Krishna, that we take that as Supersoul guiding us, and vice versa. Apohanam cha, mata smriti apohanam cha. So, but generally, the way Maya works is to take your memory away, take your knowledge away. Maya's job is to make us stupid. Ever done something stupid? Ever said something stupid? Yes or yes?
Yes.
Yeah. So we know we do something stupid, and after we do it, we're trying to figure out, why did I do that? That was stupid. I can't understand. Because Maya took your intelligence away. That's the only explanation. And we allowed her to do it because we wanted it. So that's how we know it's Maya. It's just we lose intelligence, and then we disobey the order of Prabhupada, Krishna's order, our Guru's order. Yes?
Connecting that point back to your previous point about Chaitya Guru, I think a lot of what I see in myself is that I don't trust Chaitya Guru as much because we're connected with Maya, and it's hard to distinguish what is actually reality.
Yeah.
And like, for example, like if I'm feeling lazy one day and I don't want to wake up for Mangalarti, my mind may make excuses, say, oh, you'll chant much better rounds if you just sleep in and then wake up later and chant better rounds. But that's Maya speaking and Chaitya Guru. So if we're materially afflicted, do we have that clear connection with Chaitya Guru? Is that possible?
You have the connection, you just may not have. It's through giving guidance, but you may not always know. You can't always just call them up and say what to do, but at the same time you can. Because Prabhupada said, Krishna comes with us in this body for one purpose, to guide us back to him. To give, you cannot function if Paramātmā is not there because he's guiding our intelligence. But the real purpose of that is to guide us back to Godhead. So I wouldn't want to make an assumption that everything I intuitively feel and so forth is Maya. That would be a mistake, because then when Supersoul is guiding us, we would doubt it. And sometimes even advanced devotees don't know. Like, you remember the story when Prabhupada was kicked out of his apartment? That crazy guy on LSD. And Prabhupada said, I didn't know whether to go left or right. So sometimes even if you're a devotee, it's like the signal's not clear. Prabhupada's in the bus station. He gets off the boat, he goes to Penn Station. Like, he doesn't know what to do. What do I do? So, but Supersoul specifically, it's like a lot of times the guidance is there and we just shut it off. We just turn it off, right? So then Maya starts talking. So it requires a little bit of self-honesty and just, being willing to admit, actually I just shut the Supersoul off because I didn't want to hear what he was saying. It's like if your parents say something you don't want to hear, you just kind of turn it off. Yeah, okay. And you just forget what they said. You don't want to hear it. So that can happen. So I think we need to be, honest with ourselves. Am I turning off the Supersoul because I'm attached to something and I just want to do this? That happens for sure. But at least if we're honest enough to admit it and we're introspective enough to see it and honest enough to admit it, and we can deal with it. I mean, Supersoul's not guiding us. How did you become a devotee? You weren't even a devotee and he was guiding you to bhakti. What to speak of after being a devotee? Because that's what you wanted, and he knew it. If you listen to devotees' stories, how they became devotees, there are many devotees who were saying, I hit a point in my life where I was suffering and I was just praying to God, please guide me. And like the next day, the Bhagavad Gita, I have this book, Bhagavad Gita. Or they found it, right? There's so many stories like that. Yes?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you so much for the wonderful class. Prabhu, you told that something when we want to enjoy, Krishna makes it attractive, and when we renounce from it, he makes it unattractive. But
Sometimes when you renounce, he makes it more attractive. Is that what you're going to say?
that's what my question is, because
Yeah.
when we want
Prabhupada
to chant
said that,
attentively, sometimes it's unattractive, and material desires, what we want to leave, it seems very, very attractive.
Yeah.
So,
It's true. Thank you for bringing that up. Prabhupada said that. He said, the nature of the mind is such that when you give up something, the mind wants it more, and it becomes more attractive. So it's good to be aware that that's a danger at some level of renunciation. You know, it's like, I was, for a while, maybe a long time, I wasn't eating grains. I was just like, I didn't eat grains. Then Ekadasi would come, oh no, I can't eat any grains today. You ever have that experience? Like, you don't want something until they say, till you're told you can't have it, and then you freak out, and you start thinking about it. Yeah. So Prabhupada said that's the nature of the mind. But, so we understand that. That's what's happening. It's not that I'm really attracted. It's just, you know, some insecurity there, whatever it is. But that's part of the price you have to pay. Because that attraction is coming because we're not fully renounced yet. So we're trying to renounce something because it's bad, but we're not actually renounced from it. So that's why when you renounce it, you become attracted. And so what's important is when we renounce, we have to renounce it outside and inside. Because a lot of things we renounce outside and we don't renounce inside. And that's not proper renunciation. So we're meditating on it. Dayato vishayam punsam. I'm not going to do it, I just meditate on it because I'm still attracted. But so you want to work on eliminating it. You know, like Yajnavalkya says, brahmachari doesn't mean just physically, it means mentally as well. It means verbally. You don't talk about it, you don't hear about it, you don't think about it, you don't see it. That's the whole package. So for anything we're trying to renounce, it has to be body, mind, words, thoughts. Anyway, it's just part of the, you know, it's just the way it is. It's going to be attractive. And like they say, when you're told not to think about something, that's what you think about. Isn't it? My dear devotees, tomorrow before Bhagavatam class, I want you not to think about a cat in a basket. You know the story of the cat in the basket. Put a cat in the temple, put a cat in a basket before Bhagavatam class. Because the cat was running around, so they have a ritual now. They always put a cat in the basket. So if I tell you, don't think of a cat in the basket, a lot of you are going to think tomorrow before class, a cat in the basket. So we think what we're told not to think. Do you want to say something?
Oh, just to your point, you probably know this one. Kendra Prabhu, a.k.a. Yamaniyama Das Brahmachari, has that really funny song called Life on a Fast Day. And the whole song, he's freaking out about fasting, and the last line is, and it's only 6 a.m. it's like,
yeah, that's it. Hare Krishna. You have to, not you, in order to do what I just said, we have to learn or somehow work with our own minds and realize that this thing I'm giving up, I decided to give it up. Nobody forced me. I want to give it up. I don't want it. So the mind's saying, yes, you do. And all the mind's saying is, you wanted this for 1,000,000 lifetimes. You can't tell me you don't want it now. And the intelligence has to talk to the mind and say, I figured out this is not what I want. And in your heart, you have to actually enjoy not having that anymore. Like, this is my happiness. I'm not going to do this anymore. Because the mind is saying, I've done that. This is what I want. And your mind's going to say, go for it. And the intelligence is going to say, no, I made a conscious choice. I don't want it. My happiness, my real pleasure is to give it up. That's what makes me happy. Yes?
Scenario. There is a devotee who has practiced Krishna consciousness and he's been through anartha nivritti. He advanced in his life, but he couldn't do the needful, so he has to come back in a rich aristocratic family or devotee family, just like you were mentioning. And then in his next life, he's given the opportunity. But then we know in childhood, and especially in teenage years, the magic happens, the American dream or whatever, and maybe a new set of anarthas come up, and then that is the situation again. Can we say something like this?
Well,
Even
there-
though he had a spiritual adhikar from his
yeah,
past.
well, of course you have a better start. You have a better start than we had, most of us had in this life. So that's an advantage for sure. So it's definitely an advantage if you want to take advantage of it, because, we have rock and roll in our brain, Of course, if you're born in a devotee family, raised in the West, you have that also because you hear it, but not to that degree. You also have all the Krishna bhajans and so forth. So, I'll tell a story. It's a really good story. And you all know the story of Daksha offending Lord Shiva. And then, after he offended Lord Shiva, he apologized. And then Narada Muni in the next life, or later, I think it was the next life. The next life, Daksha, he has the duty of populating the universe, so he has his sons go out and do tapasya to prepare themselves. And then Narada Muni comes and says, brahmachari life, it's better. So they decide to be brahmacharis, and then Daksha, he's upset, but he doesn't get angry. Got very angry with Lord Shiva, but he doesn't get angry with Narada this time. And I'm training these boys to be grihastas, to be progenitors, to populate the universe. Why are you making them brahmacharis? Not good. And then he begets more children, I think the second time. And then Narada Muni does the same thing. It's like, I wanted my kid to go to Harvard, and you told him to move into the Brooklyn Temple. I told you with the first one I would tolerate it, but the second son you didn't. But there's just hundreds, thousand or so. And so then he becomes really angry. And you know the story. Narada doesn't say anything. He's just listening, right? You know that? Prabhupada says Narada's letting Daksha vent his anger. He doesn't say anything. But there's a commentary on that. This is so beautiful, which addresses your question. It said that when Daksha apologized to Lord Shiva for the offenses that he made, the criticism he made, he said the apology wasn't 100%. It was partial. And he said because of that anger had not fully absolved, that contamination of anger, he didn't fully purify himself of it because that apology was not full. So he said in his next life, that's why he became angry with Narada, because he still hadn't purified it. So that means that just by taking birth in a devotee family doesn't automatically mean all those anarthas are gone. It means you have a better start to deal with those, and you're not having new ones put in there like we get put in our culture. But the old ones, you have to work on them, whether this life or another life. So why wait to another life when you can work on them now? And if you think all the difficulties that you have in being a devotee, why would it be any different? You have a material body in the next life, unless you're really advanced in this life. You're just starting off where you left off, but in a better place. I think all of us must have been devotees, otherwise what are we doing here? Especially anyone who's renounced and doesn't have problems, nothing serious, and lots of faith. It's got to be from the past life. And you become a devotee. Is it easy all the time? No. Is Maya attractive? Yes. So, and are you dealing with any stuff? Yeah. It's likely the stuff you were dealing with in your last life. It's just carryover because as far as you progress, that's as far as you go. And so maybe in this life you say, I don't really have issues with anger, but I have issues with this. It's because you had it in the last life. And you worked your anger out, but you didn't work this out. So there's no easy way around it. It's like you have to purify yourself. If not this life, another life, and you just continue. You know, you have an advantage and you have more bhakti now. You know, I was thinking this morning, like, well, if I have to come back, I would like to come back with a full load of bhakti. You know, it's like, Krishna, if you want me to come back, can I just come back with 100% bhakti and nothing else? Because otherwise, I'm just back to, you know, where I am now. I don't want to deal with the same thing. I want that cleared out. Yes. Did that answer your question?
Thank you.
I was just thinking, like, how many lifetimes have I come up to this percent and like 20% and have not gone further?
Yeah.
Just come up
Yeah,
there and
that's scary.
oh, again, excellent.
Scary thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I just want to emphasize again how adamant Prabhupada was, do it in this life. You don't need to come back. You can do it in this life. If you are serious about your bhakti, you can perfect it. And Prabhupada's saying, and whatever you're lacking, I'll help you. I'll make up for that. You just follow me. You don't have to worry. Follow me, I'll take care of you. And any devotee who has that confidence, even though they don't feel personally qualified, but they have that confidence because Prabhupada said it. So it's not me. I give my life to the mission. Prabhupada says, if you follow me, follow my instructions, give your life to the mission, I'll take care of you. I'm not qualified, but he'll give us the ability to spread the mission. Do what we have to do and say what we have to say. Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Sri Radha Govinda ki jai, Jai Go Pramanandi Hari Hari Bo. Krishna Badaya, Krishna Krishnaya Bhutare, Shrimati Bhaktivinoda Sanyavari Pushchati Dasatayana. Hari Bo.
Two is the right number. Hare Krishna. I'm Atmanidhi. Do you remember me?
Yeah, of course.
Nice to see you again.
Yeah, yeah.